Welcome back. My name is Darson Grantham. This is the Market Makers of Real Estate in Iowa podcast. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. Today we have Kyle Clarkson. He's started in a different industry, has grown a team. Well, he was solo first, went through the great downturn of 08, 9, 10, kind of got out of there, considered getting out of real estate, and then jumped back in and now has a large team, part of a new brokerage in town. And so we're going to kind of dig into how he has built his team, how he runs his business, and what we can all learn from him. So, Kyle, I appreciate you coming on here. Before you kind of became a real estate agent and everything you are right now, broker owner, right?
Sure.
Ish,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Ish,
Co-owner,
ish,
right? Whatever.
Ish is probably a good word.
Ish,
yeah.
good.
Yep.
Where did you start before real estate, or has real estate been your life? Like, give us some background.
Yeah, I actually was a youth pastor for 5.5 years. And so lived that life right out of college, went to work at a church, working primarily with high school, and did that for 3 or 4 years. And at that time, I knew that, this was probably wasn't going to continue to do that. It was kind of a seasonal of life type thing. And so I started looking for other opportunities, and I am a third-generation real estate agent. Mm-hmm. And my dad, when he got into real estate, asked my grandpa the question, "Hey, do you think I can make it in real estate?" And my grandpa said, "No, I don't." And so I'm like, okay, maybe I won't ask my grandpa. I'll ask my dad. And so I asked my dad, and he thought maybe I could. Family business, I had a grandpa, obviously, dad, uncle, sister.
Wow.
And so I transitioned that last year and a half that I was a youth pastor into selling real estate.
Where was their business at?
Here, locally.
Also locally, okay.
Yeah. My grandfather brought the Century 21 franchise to Des Moines in the 70s. He had his own before that, but brought that franchise here. And that franchise actually, it sold a couple times, but it beat today's Coldwell Banker. Some of those agents, probably not anymore, but still were there. So
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. What do you remember specifically? What your grandpa why he didn't think you could be an agent, or was it more that
he didn't think my dad could do it?
Oh,
I think
it wasn't you.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I think he. I don't know how much fun they were having in that, but my dad did, and actually he's still a licensed real estate agent.
Cool.
I think closing in on 50 years. So
wow.
Yeah,
one of the OGs.
He is. He's been. I think he got his license maybe in 78, somewhere around there, 77.
Yeah.
Because they moved to Des Moines when I was born. I was born in 77, so that's right when he got his license, somewhere in there.
Cool. So give us a timeline between getting your license to growing wherever you are at today. Like, how's that gone, or what's that process been? Probably not a straight ladder up.
Yeah. It's you talked about your experience before we were on air here, but I got into real estate in 2004, and it was it was pretty good at that time. It was okay. Not like it's been the last few years. And then something happened. The market kind of crashed.
Yep.
And so I'm sitting there in 8, 9, 10, whatever it was. Those weren't great years. 8 was okay. And then 9, 10, 11, 8, each year kept getting worse. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I went and worked on getting my insurance license and started looking for jobs. I worked part-time at a gym, making $20 an hour, just sitting there for 3 to 6 hours, letting groups in there. And then an opportunity came up within Coldwell Banker to be the education director. And so I did the education thing because, I couldn't do it. So I should be
teach someone.
teach somebody to do it.
Sounds like today. Let's be honest. The YouTube gurus.
Yeah, that's right. So I did that, taught for 3 years. And honestly, that did more for my business than anything because I started following guys like Tom Ferry and Brian Buffini and all these real estate coaches. And then I'm like, well, I got to teach people how to do this. I better know what I'm doing here. And so I started studying and took some training. And that 3 years that I did that really kind of grew in my knowledge of real estate. Yeah. And then it got to a point I'm like, I think I want to do this again. And I jumped back in. I think it was 15, I think 12, 13, 14, I was the education director. And 15, I jumped back into real estate. So, and I sold part-time on the side when I was doing that. But I'm glad I didn't get out of real estate because, I love this industry.
Yeah. What for us youngsters, the 8, 9, 10, when you said it was down or it was a struggle, was it number of transactions were massively down?
Yep.
Or was it values or just both?
It was both. I mean, transactions were down, average sale prices were down. And so from someone who, when I got in at 4, that first year sold a couple houses, then I sold 12, and then I sold 30, and I'd gotten used to that, selling 30.
You're living the lifestyle of a 30 sale, right? Like it's hard not to.
And we made the decision, okay, my wife is going to stay home and raise our 3 kids. And so we'd gotten used to that.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, average sale price comes down. My deals are cut in a third. And so it's like, well, we just lost another salary.
Yeah.
And so that was a real tough time in life.
Right.
And, going through all that. And, but you come out because of, getting back to your past experience, because of the things you went through, I think you come out better on the other side, having experienced it.
Yeah.
So.
That's how God created this, right? Like
that's right.
It's what he teaches us. Let's just be honest.
Yep.
Okay. So then growing to where you're at today, like give us, what are you doing today? What's your structure look like? And
yeah. So when I got back in, I'll just tell you kind of the story, take you to today, but it was 2015. I knew from what I had learned of teaching, I needed a coach. I needed someone to help me through this process. So I got into Tom Ferry coaching at that time. I actually, because of my training, I'm like, I want to go through the process of maybe becoming a coach. So I went out there, went through their training.
I coach with Tom Ferry. So
oh, you do now?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Oh yeah,
Patrick Ferry, his brother, is my
Okay, yeah. So you know that.
I get it. Yeah.
And so I've had the same coach. His name is Javier since 2015.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Same one. So we've been together 8-9 years, and his impact and direction in my business has been huge.
Yeah.
And so I, 2015 did that, started with the direction and pushing my coach, like, okay, let's look at building a team. My first step was hire an assistant and admin, and she was with me for 5 years, decided to stay home with her kids, a few years back. But so I did that, and then started hiring a few buyer's agents. First one didn't work out, and I learned from it. I'm like, okay.
Do they ever? The first one?
Yeah, and that's I was having a conversation with somebody today who had just hired a buyer's agent. I'm like, I'll tell you my experience. I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing. They didn't know what they were doing. I didn't set clear expectations.
Yeah.
And so we kind of went down that path, but I learned from it, and then I'm like, well, let's hire 2 now. And so started to grow the team through that, and that was 5-6 year process of myself up to, 6, 7, 8 agents, and kind of grew over time. And now there was a shift probably about a year ago this time. I was having lunch with an individual, and they're like, Kyle, you should think about starting a company and opening an office out west. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good thought. And it wasn't something I was, there's probably a natural progression in growth that had happened to maybe it's something to think about. And so, my team at that time was about 20. I had a couple employees and 18 agents, and I'm like, okay, we got a spot in Ankeny. What about opening a spot out in West Des Moines or somewhere out west? And so we started down that path, and over the course of several months, that became, a lunch turned into a whole lot more than that. And,
cool.
We partnered with a company called LPT right at the end of December, early January. And we just now have 105 agents, I think.
That's awesome.
Last time I counted. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so the premise of this podcast is to teach folks that are listening, agents, lenders, how to work together, right? So you have a vast experience on positive transactions, negative transactions. And my favorite question, one of my favorite questions to ask is, what do you, when you're working with an agent on the other side of a transaction, what do you expect out of them? What is, 1, 2, 3 things, and how can you articulate that specifically?
One is communication. To me, that's always the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And here's the problem is 90% of agents are amazing. You just have some that probably aren't amazing.
Because those are 90% of the people that do business.
Yeah, that's true too. But
I know what you mean.
To have an agent that, is responsive, wants to have a conversation. When you go through the process of a deal from start to finish and you have the right agent on the other side, it's a great experience for me, hopefully for them, but for your clients as well. Yes. And so I think communication would be number one, that we're talking through the process from they're responsive, all of that stuff. Professionalism, I think, is important. things like I had the other day where an agent had set up a showing. They were going to show a listing from 12 to 1. Well, 12:45, they cancel the listing or cancel the showing. To me, there's an opportunity to pick up the phone or, shoot me a text or something, because you're supposed to be there at 12.
Yep.
I got a family of 6. And so that's where I get back to treat others how you want to be treated, right? Golden rule. And we need more of that in our business, where sometimes things don't work out. I mean, there's plenty of people, things happen.
Yep.
Hey, I can't make it, whatever. Yep. But I think I need to pick up the phone and have that conversation. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Here's what happened. I get it. It's happened. I've been in that situation as well.
Yeah.
So I think communication, professionalism, and I don't know. I think on the third one.
No, that's fine. Two's fine. How do you teach that to agents? How do you like what's the right? It's just a struggle, right? I've noticed, and as you think about that, I've noticed coming from a business corporate background, which was my past experience, the communication part was easy because I had to do it. A lot of agents don't come into the industry, and I've noticed the agents that do come into the industry with a business background, that communication is spot on because they just know that's a requirement because this is a profession.
Yep.
So how do you teach that?
I think it starts there, helping people understand that this is a profession. It's a business, and so many people don't treat it like a business. And I was guilty of that, especially early in my career. It was a hobby, and it wasn't a hobby. It was my job, but I treated it like a hobby. Yep. Show up, whenever, didn't worry about when I went to bed, didn't worry about when I woke up. I got to things when I got to things. I hoped the phone would ring. I'd pray the phone would ring. Didn't do activities that would cause the phone to ring. And so that, I think it starts with a mindset of, this is a business. It's not a hobby. I need to treat it like a business. And that probably means business hours, business activities, a budget, all those type of things. So when an agent comes in, that's one thing where I was at for 6 or 7 years at Century 21, that they did an amazing job of, you're not in real estate sales, you are in a business. And that really helped my mindset shift to, I'm running a business. And so I think it begins there, is this is a business. It's not a hobby.
Yeah. And if you you can fire yourself, Dave Ramsey always says, would you fire yourself as your financial planner or your budget, right?
Yeah.
And so if you think of it like that as an agent, would I fire myself as an agent? Right. And if the answer is yes, let's change something.
There's a problem. It was funny this morning in our meeting, it was one of the people were talking about a new listing they have. And they said, it was FSBO before. They end up firing FSBO. I'm like, they fired themselves? Is that it's a different company, but yes.
That's awkward. How about with lenders? Obviously communication. How do agents properly work with lenders? What should they expect out of lenders? The lenders that if you want to share your preferred lenders, great. If you don't, that's fine. What do you expect out of the folks you work with?
Communication. You mentioned it. That's number one. But so I love local lenders, but there was, and I cannot think of the company, I can get it to you later, but there was a company that I just sold a house. It was a national lender, and I like to keep things local, being able to walk into somebody's office, have the conversation if I need to. But I kept getting texts, emails, here's the process. The appraiser, the same day the offer was accepted, the appraiser was out there.
Oh.
And I have never seen that.
No.
And as soon as that happened, they ordered the appraisal. They were on it. The appraiser got out there, and I'm like, and this was in acreage. It was not not
an easy one.
It was in Prole, so it's not they got people lined up. But so I was amazed by the communication that they had, and it was automated. A lot of it was automated, but every now and then, and it's okay. It's automated. I just want to know what's going on, right? And so, but they also had somebody that called me every now and then, just hey, here's we are in the process. Yep. Amazing experience. I can't even tell you who it was because it's not a local lender, but if every lender implemented what this company did, that would be unreal. Yeah. Yeah. It would, it's simple, but not easy. Yeah. That's just what it comes down to. Yeah. And what an experience. It was a good experience for me because I'm like, oh, this takes so much off my shoulders. Yes. I know what's going on. I can communicate it. Yeah. It's one of the reasons the 3 lenders I refer or recommend is I tell them, I don't care that your rates are the lowest. I want you to have competitive rates. I don't care that they're lowest. I've heard of people shopping rates for their clients. And I'm I promise you, I'm not doing that.
but I know what to expect out of them, and I don't have to think about it after it goes under under contract.
Yep.
That is what's in it, because I'm on to the next lead. That's how I work.
That's right.
Everyone's different. Like I get it. I have other agents in our office that give me a hard time because they're like, you just like everything's hands off after the inspection. I'm like, yeah, because I'm on to the next. Like,
and if I'm in sales, then that's what I should be doing.
To each their own.
Yeah.
Cool. What about like the industry in general? Where do you feel like agents, business wise, could improve to get more or provide better to their clients? What have you noticed? Like the good agents, what are they doing differently?
Well, I go back to, so, we're salespeople, but there is that, just the experience I had with a lender every step of the way. And so I knew as a salesperson that I had a lot of cracks in my business. And so that for me was my admin coming alongside and say, these are my cracks.
Yeah.
You fill them, you make it look pretty. And so that process is a inspection, appraisal, title work, closing, hey, let's, after processing, a week after, like, hey, go file for homestead exemption and, those type of things where if that's left to me and I'm selling any amount of real estate,
getting missed. One of those is yes.
Yeah, something's getting missed. It's going to fall through the cracks. So having the right people around you that can kind of take care of the customer service part is huge. Mm-hmm. I want great customer service for myself too,
right.
But that's more face-to-face when I'm with them than it is, behind the scenes, that process to start to finish.
Yeah. So you think doing that, help me understand, you think doing that gets you more business? Like how have you...
Like you want people to shout your name, right? Like you and I were talking before how your business has kind of shifted to people, right? And I think the good ones, and I could think of a couple agents that I've worked with before, and I look at their business, I'm like, they have a tribe. And if you would talk to anybody that's around them, they'll say, that person is my agent. And it's because they have great customer service. They have great relationships with them. It's not, hey, I sold you a house a couple of years ago. How you doing?
Yep.
But, they connect with them throughout their lives, And so I think that's great in the process, but then staying connected. Real estate's such a relationship business that, we need to do a good job at that.
Yeah. The transaction count where you noticed, hey, I need an admin or I didn't need an admin to then I need a buyer's agent. Where was that at in your personal business?
I don't think I realized it. And that's where coaching came in.
Yeah.
Like when I got back into selling, I was doing 30 some deals again, and had it under control. I thought, and he kept telling me, it's like, okay, but if you want to take the next step, one, you're staying up till 10, 11, working on all these admin things and whatever, and you're taken away from your ability to go out and get in front of more people. And so it's like, okay. And it was a mindset shift. And, so that's when I'm like, okay, let's hire an assistant. And I did the same number of business I did the year before, but then it doubled the next year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, he might be right. He might know something. I don't know. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about with then the buyer's agent or what? Yeah. Like what did your business, how much did you do? How many transactions? I don't care about volume. I'm not a volume person.
Yeah.
Because it's not in my opinion, not any more work. But shoot, my phone's ringing. I don't know if you could hear that.
I couldn't hear it. No.
Yeah. So what was that next? Hey, I need to get agents with me because my admin team can't handle this.
Yeah. It was probably different for me because there's times where it's like, okay, admin and we've got this, but then it's like, I think we want to grow. And so for me, it was more out of a desire to grow than out of a necessity that I needed it. And so it was probably 40, we were doing 40 some transactions in a year. And that was that shift. We went from 30 to 60, somewhere in that time frame.
Shot off.
Yeah.
When you, because I've talked about with other people on the podcast, the team versus solo versus what does a team structure look like? How did you structure your team? Was it buyer's agent that only did buyer stuff, or did they bring their own database and act as an agent? How'd that work?
What's great about life is you can grow and change. And I started, it was just a buyer's agent. You're working with buyers, listings I'm handling, and I did that. Then over time, it just kind of shifted to they're just agents. Yep. And now they list and sell houses. And some of that was like, I mean, we got to a point where there's 15 agents. I can't go on.
Right.
I can't go on all these appointments. And so that it naturally shifted to where today, they're just all agents. There's no buyers agents. They're just agents on the team.
Cool.
But that wasn't day one. And if I did it over again, it probably would go back to do it how I did it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's how it evolved.
Yeah. How about with the commissions change, the agent agreement change? How's that affected? Or I guess how do you see agents' business changing moving forward? Or what does that look like in your perspective? Knowing, and we'll just put an asterisk here, it might all change. And so you might be completely wrong. We will not hold you to it.
Yeah. I mean, so we work a lot of online leads. My team does.
Okay.
And so it's been a shift because now you're having these conversations. Before you didn't have to have agreement signed. And so now we're trying to have these conversations. You want to show them a house. And we know that if I'm in front of somebody, my capture rate is much higher. Well, sometimes people are going to put their, hey, I'm not signing any document, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. And so now we got to work through education,
Mm-hmm.
I think is a big part. You talk about this would be the third one, is education as a real estate agent. But it's been a great opportunity for us to say, okay, well, instead of, we've changed how we've done it. Now let's do some more educating up front.
Yeah.
And there are people now that are saying no that we probably would have got in front of before. But would they have closed? Yeah, would they have closed before? And so this is what we're working through, and we're early in it, right?
Yeah, way early.
And so we'll see long term. But we're actually getting more of these agreements signed than what I anticipated we would. And the ones that aren't, maybe they just weren't for us anyway.
Yep. Yeah.
And so that it's been good, and I'm hoping maybe this helps our capture rate and our close rate and our conversion rate and all that stuff. But some of that still remains to be seen.
So early on. It's so early on it. I mean, as a big team, like how close do you track those numbers? Like, and where does that fit into your business? How involved are you?
Yeah, track and measure anything, right? If you want to grow, you track and measure everything. I'm giving you all, nothing you ever heard Tom Ferry,
but it's important, right?
Yeah.
So like, I love doing these interviews because I want to learn like nobody's business. But I do the coaching, I listen to the podcast, but like, it's so interesting how different people have different perspectives on it, right? Because I understand the track and everything. I don't do it very well, right? Like I've yet to get my brain to click and flip the switch of like, this is one of the most important things.
Yep. And I could open up my computer now and I could show you, I've got like 4 Google spreadsheets that are there because
you run a big business. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I can tell you everybody on my team and everybody in our company, like, here's all our transactions. Mm-hmm. For our team, this is the source. Because again, at the end of the year, as we look at where's our business coming from, well, if we got a lot of business come from here, maybe we need to double down on that. Yeah. Or if we spend a lot of money here and we're not seeing results, then we better make a change to that. And that's part of being, go back to running a business and being a business owner. And so we track all of that all the way down to, for us as individual agents on my team, it's like how many conversations we have in a day, how many appointments we are getting, how many contracts. So we can then say at the beginning of 2025, here's how many conversations I need every day to reach the goal that I have.
Yeah.
So we track and measure everything, through spreadsheets. We use a program called CTE,
yep, very familiar.
Where we track that stuff as well. My employees are trying to get me away from the spreadsheets because I make them enter it several different places because I love spreadsheets. So Adelina, who runs our operation, she says her goal for 2025 is
no spreadsheets.
No spreadsheets. I haven't given into that, but we'll find out.
Is it spreadsheet? Like, are they all at least online? They're not like Excel documents.
Yeah.
They're
I mean, they're Google, so
okay.
they're.
She still doesn't like them.
Well, because we have stuff in multiple places, but that's where I like them.
Yep. It's where yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we'll see. We'll see if I can get over that.
Yeah. For agents that are trying to learn and get educated, where do you recommend they go? What source? Is there a source? Is there multiple? Like, what have you found helpful?
I think there are multiple. Like for me, Tom Ferry was a great source, and his podcast and a lot of his training was instrumental in the growth of my business. There's other coaches like Buffini and whatever, but they're different. So I think you got to determine who you are and kind of your focus as an agent. And that would probably help you determine maybe who's the best fit for you. Tom Ferry is an easy choice for me as far as the type of coaching that I was looking for. So that's a great source, from there. And then, other places probably just kind of, keeping current matters. KCM is a place for, numbers of what's going on in the marketplace. Certainly they have lots of education stuff in there. I spent 3 years, in that education, in that. And so I enjoy it, and I still like the teaching part of it. My mom was a teacher, I know that teachers don't make a ton of money, and the same is true as a real estate educator. Like, there's a lot more money in sales than teaching. But I really still enjoy doing that, and it's a passion of mine. And so I think there's opportunity even within, like for us, we have team meetings every week, and education is a place where, okay, Randy's dealing with this. Come bring it to the team. Okay, what are your thoughts on this, Malia, Lisa, whatever? And we learn together. So I think there's the spot where I can go listen, and then there's the spot where, okay, this is a case study. Let's talk through it. How do we do it? Oh, that's a great way to respond. Yeah. And I haven't thought about that before. And so I think within collaboration and just sitting down with a group is a great way to grow as well.
Yeah, learning by doing.
Yeah,
is
for
like,
sure.
Everyone. I don't know what the percentage is, but everyone kind of learns in a different way.
Yeah.
And like, you can listen to all of that like forever and not actually do anything, and you don't actually learn it.
Yes.
When the top agents on your team, or what you've seen, how much time do they spend on education? Or spend time and or money? Because there isn't an answer, but what have you seen, like kind of a happy medium, a range? What is that?
Different.
Yeah.
You just mentioned it, but everybody learns a little different. So I think one person on my team that she loves to learn. I mean, she's taken a class on writing right now, and those things help. I was talking to her, or I was talking to another agent on my team where I was talking about Toastmasters, and I don't know if you heard of Toastmasters. Yeah. Like, I did Toastmasters for several years, and I'm like, to me, if I'm in real estate and I'm in the business of communication and education, like Toastmasters is a great avenue that you can learn those communication skills. And so I would recommend to anybody that's thinking about real estate or in real estate now, look at Toastmasters. I'm sitting here on a listing presentation to have those skills. I'm sitting here with a buyer in a buyer presentation and talking about the new laws that are going over, to have those skills to be able to talk through it and be confident in that. And so that's one thing I've encouraged agents, especially maybe younger agents, that, hey, Toastmasters is something you can do, you can learn, and I think it's a great way to learn how to communicate. Yeah,
even I was thinking that if you're gonna do video, right? If you're a new agent, you're like, hey, I'm thinking about doing video. Like, I've got a fairly good YouTube channel that I like. Like, I put some content out there, and like, I haven't done the Toastmasters, and I keep looking at my videos. I'm like, I could communicate this way better if I did something, like if I was actually educated at this. Because my previous jobs, I did presentations and stuff, so I kind of like naturally fell into kind of understanding it. But man, when you I went to a few Toastmaster meetings, and they're like really good.
Oh yeah, because you're ums and uhs and all those fillers and stuff like that. Now it's problem with doing that. Now you sit and listen to, like, I'm at church on Sunday, I'm listening to it, and like,
you count them.
There's I'm like, oh, he should go to Toastmasters. Anyway,
Yes, cool. Okay, we'll wrap this up. Is there anything, like, newer agents or lenders, is there anything you want that we haven't talked about that you think would be beneficial to share? Motivation, anything that you've noticed, like, hey, keep your head down for the next 5 to 10 years. It's going to be bumpy, or like, what are your thoughts?
Even with changes, we've had people with our team and our company nervous, right? Because there's change, and change makes people nervous. It makes me nervous, because you get used to doing things a certain way, and that way you become accustomed to, it works for you. But change is okay. And people are still going to buy and sell real estate. And that's what I keep telling them, is like, people aren't going to just quit buying and selling houses because some laws have changed. Yes. And so we need to know what we're communicating with people and make adjustments, as we go. And I don't have it figured out.
No.
And there's a lot of things that are still unknown that we'll have to just figure out. But one thing I know that's going to be constant, and whether the market's good or bad, That's not what I'm talking about. It's going to fluctuate, but people will still buy and sell real estate. Real estate agents still have a place, and we are here to kind of fill that role.
Right. I would say like a good thing to think about is like it's 1,400 agents sell 4 houses or more a year, and there's 2,600 that are licensed. Right. So like you don't have to be the top people to have a good business.
Yep.
You just have to be pretty darn good.
Yep.
And you'll be, in perspective wise, you'll be a really good agent.
Well, yeah. And real estate, I mean, there's plenty to go around, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's so much to go around. It's, there's plenty of that. So, yeah, to make a good living in this industry, I mean, you don't have to go out and sell a ton of houses.
No.
So, anyway.
You have to be good, but you don't have to sell a ton.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. I appreciate you coming on here.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your time, and we'll stay in touch and see you at the next transaction.
That's right.
There you go, Aki.
Yeah, nice.
Let me see here.